And so let us begin. No. Excuse me. This is going to be a slow start to a new way of doing things. I decided that I am going to share my my creativity in a way as a vlog kind of thing to therapeutic type of thing. Of course, it's going to start out slow. It's going to start out chaotic, chaotically organic. Now, what I've been playing around with is doing different types of videos. Sometimes I'll do like where I'll just record my voice and then I'm going to like overlay it with, working on my artwork. And then I'm trying to work on my artwork while speaking out on different topics, or like vlogging, like just journaling my process, where I'm going, what I'm doing, things like that. This is mostly a personal project, personal therapy project for me, and it's also a way for me to expand my artistic skills. It'll give me something to do each day or every other day or so, to work on being creative. I have been on hermit mode for the last like 12 years, and basically like living on autopilot as far as like some things are concerned, and not taking a very active roles in my life like I should be. Like this project, it's been a long time coming. I have been working on doing something with my artwork. Like, it's not like I hesitate to say that because it's not like I've done like nothing, but it's been quite an artist block, like writer's block, but not being able to really get into it and express. I feel like I silenced myself for various reasons, and I'm finding my voice again. That's what it feels like. Coming back from the dead. So I rise. Some necromancy. Raise myself from the dead. The dead. Midlife awakening. You have like all different types of awakenings that take place throughout your life. Awakening to things, awakening to different parts of yourself. I was going to title this The Silent Scream. And I was going to do like a painting of the Screamer, but I was going to do my version of the Screamer. But I'll probably do that. I probably will end up doing that. But I just decided to pick out some work that I had already been working on and never completed. And that's been a lot of that's been going on too. Completing projects, like starting projects and then completing them. Sometimes like I struggle with my timing and everything. Like I'll start out, I'll have the time, and the next thing you know, I don't have the time, or I have to leave it until next time. No time for time. And then I come back to it and complete it. It's been a while since I actually did a painting. I wanted my first video to be of a painting that I had been working on. And in some of my pictures, you can see it in the background. It's a painting about a reoccurring dream that I used to have in my youth. And I'm definitely going to get around to that. I have so many things. Like, you'll see some of my stuff, like I have pictures on top of pictures. My art boards are full of like papers and stuff. And what is it? Like I said, I'll start a picture and then all of a sudden I have an idea for something else and get started on that. I do have a sketchbook. I usually do preliminary sketching before going into doing the full-on sketching, and sometimes I just go directly into creating the final piece. And one thing I wanted to do was warm-up sketches. And those warm-up sketches, you know, get your hand loose and fingers and arm movements, like kind of like yoga for drawing. Your warm-up sketches. Just dive in. And then I thought it was going to be kind of difficult to speak as I'm drawing, because most of the time when I'm in process, I'm like, it's like trance. So sometimes I'll be talking and there'll be a long period of silence, and of course I can edit it out the video, but I am new to all this, so the editing and stuff I'm still learning, still in the process of getting that down. And this is, like I said, this is a personal project, so I'm working on it by myself. Don't have any help yet. My friend was supposed to be helping me with stuff, but she got her own thing going on with, she's about to be a mother for the second time. So, and that's another thing, because I'm a mom as well, a mother of two. So finding the time, making the time, instead of saying finding the time, because most of the time you have to make the time for these things. Because if you sit around waiting for it, it doesn't come. So like I said, like most of the time I'll start projects and then finish at a later date, or have to come back to them to complete. But my creative journey started way back when I was 2, according to my grandmother. I was asking her, when did I start becoming interested in art and things like that, and she told me it was I began at 2, and around 2 years old, and I believe it was either, I don't know what age it was that it was a program called Head Start at the local public school. I started off in public school in the earlier years, and then I believe it was like around first grade, that's when they started putting me in private schools. So I was part of this program called Head Start, and they had had a trip to the Philadelphia Zoo. And she said when I came back from the zoo, I was so excited about what I seen that I wanted to draw it. And I asked her, like, how do I draw? How do I begin drawing? And I know I was always taught to look for the basic shapes and things. So you break things down, you see something, you break it down into its basic shapes, basic forms. And I drew what I saw at the zoo that day, and the teacher was so impressed with how it turned out that they, they knew that I had talent in that area. So my grandmother cultivated it by buying me like the things and stuff I need, like sketchbooks. I would paint and things like that. And most of my stuff was of nature. Nature scenes, drawing animals. I didn't start drawing people until I think it was early teens when I like got into like comics and stuff like that. Then I started to draw people. Like before that, like my friends would request drawings of people, and I'm like, no, I don't do people. Or I would do just a simple, basic drawing for them. But it wasn't until my early teens that I started like really getting into drawing people, getting comfortable with drawing people. I was always into the animals. Like the first career, like, you know, when you ask a little kid, what do you want to be? I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wasn't even an artist. I wanted to be a veterinarian and help the animals. So I started off like that, and then I got into drawing people and that, and mythical creatures. I used to draw regular animals and mythical creatures. And of course, like every 80s child, every 80s girl, I should say, I was intrigued with unicorns. Unicorns was my thing. And as a matter of fact, like my first anime was Unico. If anybody's familiar with Unico, it's the story of this little unicorn that would turn into, if I remember correctly, I think he would turn into an alicorn or just a Pegasus pony, but then he would turn back to his child size, like a little baby unicorn. But that was one of my favorite. I would watch that series over and over and over again. Another one is Ringing Bell. It's a story about a little lamb who becomes a ram named Chirin. That was another one that I would watch multiple times. Like, I would watch that thing, I know it from front to back, beginning to end, and all the little details in between. But I was a fan of anime before anime really became a big thing. So that's how it started. And a lot of my creativity was also linked to other experiences that I had throughout my my upbringing. I was brought up in a family who was very influenced by a Christian perspective, Christianity perspective, but they were no stranger to spiritual things, you know. And I think that lends itself to cultural backgrounds and things. Like, we always had like people in our family that was prophetic dreamers, people that would that was clairaudience, clair, all the clairs, like things like that. And we would, you know, encounter different, I remember stories growing up, hearing stories about different entities. And I plan on like sharing a little bit about that kind of stuff. And I wanted to like write out everything, like that way I don't forget and I can go and reference, like, you know, what subject I'm going to cover. But every time I try to formulate something, it ends up going the opposite way. So I'm just going to leave it organic and just, you know, the only problem is it's going to seem like I'm jumping all around to different stories and things like that. But it's, for me, these things are tied into my creativity. My spirituality is very much tied into my creative process. And looking over different things in my life, I see how, like, what I call a spiritual signature ran through a lot of my experiences, and triggered a lot of my creativity. Because I remember my first spiritual encounter, again, like a lot of things happened around 2 years old, and this first spiritual encounter was, I was playing in the hallway of my grandmother's house. At that time, my mother lived with my grandparents, I should say, my grandma, my grandfather, and my 3 uncles. And I was running back and forth between my mother's room and my grandmother's room. So it was a simple row home in Philadelphia. It had a back room. My mother's room was the center room. Then it was the bathroom, and then the front room was my grandmother's room, master bedroom. And in the bathroom, there was this thing called a skylight. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it, but somebody should be familiar with it. But basically what it was is it was a window in the ceiling, and it had like a chain link system that you would use to pull to open it up, so that way you can air out the bathroom or whatever. And I remember birds getting caught in there a lot. But I was playing back and forth, and I stopped in front of the bathroom. My grandma, anticipating my return, she wondered what had happened because she hadn't seen me in a little bit. So she came out and she said I was standing at the door of the bathroom and just staring up at the skylight. And she approached me and she said, she was like, "What are you staring at, baby? Like, what do you see?" And she said, she said that I said that there was a man in the window. And I told her, I said, "Don't you see him? He's right there." And she said she stood there and looked, and nobody, she didn't hear anybody walking on the roof or anything. So it wasn't like it was someone doing roof work or whatnot. And she kept saying I was very, very animate about, he's right there. And I was trying to tell her, and I kept saying, "Don't you see him? Don't you see him?" And she couldn't see him. And she said, "No, I don't." And she said, I stood there for a while, like interacting with this being. And I can't remember exactly how it was mostly what I remember is it's like an outline of a figure. I just remember a masculine energy, but what I remember the most out of it all was the fiery eyes, those gold yellow eyes. I'll never forget that. And that became a theme because shortly after that, I believe I don't know exact age, but I want to say around like 5, I would have age 5 began a reoccurring dream that I used to always have, and it was one of those what they term night terrors or sleep paralysis. And I know the science behind sleep paralysis. Certain people, I'm not going to quote it word for word, but basically what it is certain people, when they lay on their back, there's like a disconnect between the motor skills or something with the brain function, and you feel like basically like locked in your body type of feeling. I know it's like probably all different kinds. People have all different experiences with it. But mine's came as like being locked in my body. Now, as I grew older, I came to know that was a form of astral travel too, because basically what would happen was I would have this dream. It was like no matter what I was doing, like what I mean by that is it could be a totally different dream. It could be a dream of me running through a field of lavender, and all of a sudden I would turn and it would be this like entrance to this cave, and it was like a cave, like a tunnel to this cave. And I know the color was a vibrant red. It was red and black was the colors. It was very warm. It wasn't an uncomfortable heat, but it was very warm, and the energy was very heavy. It was almost like a blanket of, like, you could feel it, like you couldn't, like, walking through a fog that had weight to it. And I was literally would be trance state. I In the dream, I wasn't walking towards this. I was drawn to it, like as if in a movie, like the slow motion move, like as if you're floating, but slowly towards this thing. And it was magnetic, and it was strong. It was like something that you couldn't resist. I didn't feel fear as it was happening. I didn't feel any disturbances. It was very overwhelming as a child to have that kind of thing, but it always felt like a deep root connection, like a really deep connection. The scary part, what would happen, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the scary part about it was when I would try to come back to my body, and I would struggle with gaining motor skills. Like, I couldn't open up my eyes, couldn't move my limbs. I would literally be paralyzed until I would, try to re-enter my body or try to wake up, and I would wake up thrashing around and, screaming, trying to get stuff. And I know trying to get myself together. And a lot of times my grandma would come rushing in, or I would be sleeping. She had like a little sofa next beside her bed that I would sometimes sleep in her room. And she would wake up and she would tell me, it's okay, what happened? But I never told anybody what was going on. I never told anybody about that dream until I turned 40, and I had told my mother. And she remembers things happening, but I never told her what exactly was going on. That was that reoccurring dream that would happen. So anyway, feeling drawn to this cave, this tunnel, I was drawn in, and like I would come to this open cavern, and it was huge, and I would see this. All I would see is like the shadow of this figure, and he had two horns, and he had those blazing yellow, those gold yellow eyes, like burning fires, and it was a thing. I call the knowing. And what it is like a transfer of information. It's not exactly said outright. It's not exactly telepathic. It's like from heart to heart, emotion feeling, exchange, and like a oh, just thinking about it now, like the connection, that's the strong connection that was felt, the way I felt, like the way it gripped me, and how vibrant it was. It was like I don't want to say like an initiation. It was like a connecting thing that just it was very powerful, and I would always keep it to myself. Sometimes I could tell when the dream was going to come about. Like I would get a feeling that I was going to have that dream, but most of the time it would just come out of nowhere. Like I said, it was like nothing that really initiated it. I could be dreaming that I was on a boat somewhere, and then all of a sudden I turned, and it would be that dream. And the same thing, the sleep paralysis always accompanied it. And like I said, that theme of those eyes, I'll never forget those eyes. And eyes are a thing in a lot of symbolism in my artwork, especially this. Now this is interesting too. This was a gift, a tarot card deck that I got as a gift. And as soon as I saw that symbol, I was like, oh my gosh, the synchronicity. That's my symbol. I have like a lot of drawings that it's not exactly mine, are different from here, from the different design.
There's a bug on the wall.
Go get your dad.
No, he's asleep.
Go get your dad and have him get it.
He'll be all angry and tell us to go to bed.
But this was a symbol, and I draw a lot. It's the you'll see a lot of my drawings will have this symbol, and I will be doing a drawing showing my sketches of this symbol. But I thought it's so interesting that I got this as a gift, and it had that symbol on the cards. Oh boy. I'll tell you, trying to find uninterrupted time as a parent sometimes feels impossible. Tell you, I need to find like a log cabin somewhere and disappear for a few days. I'd hate to, I'd hate to see what I would come back to. So, anyways, back to, I'll get back to my story now. I'm just coming off a little bit about my drawing. I'm doing this as a sketch, and I'm trying to catch myself by not putting too much detail because I'm eventually going to ink this and I get lost in my designs. And then I'm like, I'm going too far with the pencil work when it's going to be inked. Okay, so going back again. So around these things happen around this time. It's almost like puzzle pieces, putting the puzzle pieces together to see how the spiritual signatures have ran throughout my life and how I've come to the point where I am today. So it's basically like a backtrack. A lot of my practice involves dreams, dream work. I know a lot of people are skeptical about dream work because like dealing with like, okay, you take in so much in your waking hours that your dreams are just byproducts of what you've taken in during your waking hours. And certain dreams, yes, like I can say from my experience, I can see the difference between like a normal dream, astral projection, and prophetic dreams, or dreams in which, I won't say prophetic dreams because it's not like dreams of not necessarily all the time dreams of telling the future, but things that have messages in it that has to be decoded as you go along, type of thing. And I see the difference between them. Like I know when I'm having a dream where it's what I call the inner knowing, an exchange of knowledge through the dreaming. I know, when I'm doing my astral projection, and I know when it's just a basic dream. So that's why I don't agree with, what has been stated about dreams and being skeptical about it. You got to be mindful. Like you can't just, jump at every little thing. And most people, you got to remember that every symbol that you see in your dream is not a literal. Like just as an example, because I want to do a dream series in which I may draw some of the things that I've seen in my dreams. A lot of the stuff that I draw, I've seen, either had visions or dreams about. But I do want to do a dream vlog, art dream art vlog, or whatever you want to call it. But for instance, like it was one dream, like a lot of people dream about being pregnant and things like that. Now, when I had my dreams like that, one dream I had about pregnancy was before I gave birth to my first daughter. But to me, the energy in that dream wasn't about a literal pregnancy. It was about an idea, something that was going to come forth. It wasn't, oh, you were going to get pregnant. And the way it happened, it was the way it unfolded. It was kind of weird. Basic dream. So it's my dream journal. This was a gift from my husband for Valentine's Day from 2014. 2014. So these are old dreams, and the particular one that I was telling about was this one. It was, let me see if I can read it without. Now that one 5/26. Okay, so this was May 26, 2014. What was it? Oh, all right. I guess I can read this one. Now, I may leave out a couple of things because I don't, for privacy and any names being mentioned, I won't mention that. But this one, while dreaming, I was in an area that was similar to where my mother lives in a certain part of New Jersey. Only the houses and businesses were spread further apart. Everything was very spacious, even the road, which was one of the pikes in Jersey. It was 4 lanes on each side from its usual 2 lanes. So that's another thing, 4 lanes, number 4. I remember it as fragmented parts. I was putting together a hamster tube system between 2 cages, and I was indecisive about the tower in the center, where each tube from each cage met. It was transparent and pink. In each cage or box, one was filled with hamsters or gerbils. No, one was filled with hamsters, the other with gerbils. My mother's house was larger and older. It had the original hardwood floors. It was white walled and had a huge window and a vestibule, like our old house in Philadelphia. She was preparing for something and she was trying to keep it a secret. One part of the dream was trying to sell my car at the time. It had went missing. I found myself in this storm gray colored car. I drove around looking for my old car, but I found a Jeep, the same storm gray, and I kept my eye on it. I was planning to sell that one because it belonged to a girl that I let borrow mine, and she never gave my car back. That was part of the dream, and then it continues. Another part of this dream was I was trying to get pregnant. Everyone was looking forward to it. They even began to make preparations for a baby shower, and this is what my mother was preparing the house for and trying to keep it a surprise. I was still trying to get pregnant. A friend of mine from art class was on his way up from another state to help, which was weird. He was coming up as a volunteer to help get me pregnant. Weird, I said. I ended up going to this guy. He was from another country. He was very, very dark. And he was a type of black magic witch doctor. I was in this circular room lit with lights they use, and it was like a dark room where you used to develop film. The room was circular and the walls had these images carved into them. Everything was shades of red with black. We were doing this ritual. I was in a trance. The guy was so dark I could barely make out his silhouette, and his eyes, he kept his eyes locked on mine, and his body moved like water. We were intimate, and after we had finished, I had a baby bump, and he took me to this 3-foot tall statue he had carved from dark wood, and it was a woman-like figure. It also had a belly bump, and he explained as my baby would grow, so would the statues. And I had to keep the statue hidden and let nothing happen to it. This statue was distorted but very well crafted. The limbs were elongated and the hands were had very long fingers. Then the dream went back to me driving in the storm gray car. I was going someplace when I had an inkling to turn around. I illegally did a U-turn crossing 4 lanes. As I drove, I saw a woman that looked like a friend that I went to high school with. And then I saw another friend on the opposite side of the road waiting for a bus. And I asked her if she saw the other woman that looked like the friend that we both went to high school with. Let me see. And I went on to say, like, I spoke to, it turned out that the lady was the woman who I went to school with, and she told me she was traveling to her brother's house. And she had on a scarf, a brown scarf over her hair. And then it says I woke up, my husband woke me up out of the dream. So most of the time when I have these dreams, I try to, that one was from 2014, May of 2014. So most of the time when I have these dreams, you know, I wake up and I'm trying to like write it down. Now, I usually write it in, I like to write it, write it. Now I keep them in my phone because it's better. Like, because when you wake up in the middle of the night, you have a dream, you know, your phone, you can just type it in. It's easier. But I like to actually do the physical work of writing in a dream journal. And as you can see, that dream journal is, it's pretty much full. But this was, like I said, from 2014. I believe I also have dreams that I've typed up from 2011, I want to say, because I always try to keep a journal. I'm always journaling or drawing or something like that. But at times I have, more so in my youth, not so much now, I go through what I call the Burning Man syndrome. And if anybody's familiar with Burning Man, it was like, I know it's changed now, but back when it first started, you would, it was a lot of like artists and stuff would meet out in the middle of the desert. I believe it was over in California, one of those states that had the desert, and they would like make these big wooden structures, and people would do all kinds of artwork and everything. And at the end, they would burn the stuff. And I had those moments. Every now and then I have that moment. So some of my journals got fed to the flames. And it does bother me because like I would love to go back and read, because those were like journals that I had throughout middle school and high school. So I would love to see the transition of my mental state from then up until now. And now I don't have them because I don't know. I just have moments where it's just like burn everything. You'll see the whole process, the creative process. But I go through these things. Like I said, not so much now. In my youth, I had a lot of anger issues growing up, and I'm laughing now, but it wasn't funny because like I was into a lot of like not so good things. But grew out of that, changed, developed, became more aware of things, became more knowledgeable of things, and changed my perspective, changed my perception of things. Change your perspective, change your perception, change your world. It's all how you look at things and how you're manipulated to look at things. So, going back to my eyes, eyes are something very important to me, and I know it's the whole, you know, the eyes are the windows to the soul thing. But yeah, like eyes, those, oh my God, like just talking about it, it's like, it's, just showing the theme throughout my life of the things that was going on. But anyway, like dreams like that, like where I had the dream of pregnancy or trying to get pregnant, for me, like I said, that one was back in 2014, and I had my daughter in 2015. So yes, it could have been the baby was coming, but most of the time when I have those dreams, and I speak about it now because I had another dream similar to that, that same theme of this person in like I can't. They're like a shadow, like, but it's a person. Like you can see them, like they always like that hooded robe or black, and in all black. But when you don't see, I don't see a face. It's blackness, and it was another dream I had like that. It was, I don't have it right now in front of me, but I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably read that off. But basically, it was the same, almost the same type of dream. But I was in this place. I don't know. It was a building, and I was in the basement of this building, and I could feel that I had something like a baby inside, but it was dead. I could feel it had passed on, or it was like just lying dead, but yet my body didn't give it up, didn't pass it. And for some reason, like when I felt on my stomach, the fetus had an elongated head, like it felt like a bean shaped head or something. And in this dream, it was again another figure, all black, and male energy, masculine energy. And I remember he came up and he put his hand on over my womb, and I could feel the baby come back to life. The way I interpret that dream was of my art, my creative side awakening again, because I was so dormant, and I wouldn't necessarily say that it died, but it did go dormant. And you'll hear me reference it, my time in the bear cave. That's what I call my hermit mode, Ursa's cavern. I'm in my bear cave. But yes, like I look at that, like not as a literal dream of me being pregnant, even though, like I said, sometimes these dreams can mean that, but most of the time it's a message that's unfolding. I don't jump at the first message that I get from the dreams unless it was like direct and I know and I feel and I write down. But most of the time I'll write it down, and then I will wait to see how things unfold, certain situations, certain people that I may meet, something I may read, something I'm led to online. And it starts, like the story starts to unfold. The dream starts to make more and more sense. I'll do tarot card readings. I'll see a reading, or a reading will come through, and I look for the synchronicities in things. And I know some people will be like, oh, you fish for stuff so long, you're going to get it and all that other stuff. But there's a process that I do. I just don't, jump at these dreams and say, oh yeah, this is what this means, and it doesn't mean this. I try to take everything into consideration and go from there, and a lot of times I'll have these dreams and they don't unfold until like later. Like it's not like I'll have the dream within a week and then the 2 weeks go and then the thing happens. No, these are things that unfolds over time, and it's in that it's deeper understanding that goes on. I'll have an experience that'll allow me to see it from a different perspective, and I'll understand more, or a message will come through a reading and I'll understand more about the dream. So it's not just me taking the dream and running with it. It's a whole process that I do, and I look forward to sharing more detail on that in my videos. But just touching on that to show you that my spirituality is deeply connected to my artwork and the things that I draw. But a lot of these past years, I've been stuck in my head. Which brings up another dream. Again, I don't have my book in front of me, but I will make a dreams series where I'll go, read the dreams from my journals and everything. But there was another dream I remember. I was in this room. It was decorated like very heavy on, I want to say Hindu symbols, and it was like a silk room. It was like the walls looked like they had these. It was a silk like it was an orange red, and it had the symbols in gold. And in this room, it was this caged elephant, and the elephant was huge, but the cage was too small for it. And I remember standing there feeling sorry for the elephant in the cage, and the elephant was he was like a reddish pink elephants remind me of Dumbo. Pink elephants. But he was like a reddish he had a reddish pink orange tone to him. And I remember looking in his eye and the sadness in the eye, and his eye was like huge because like he was huge. Like I was probably like that small, and it was like something like this big, and my body would be like that small, and he was this caged elephant. The band Cage the Elephant. But that was a dream that I had, and I really think it speaks a lot about my silencing myself, not allowing myself to express what I have inside. But yeah, like just things like that. Like I think it'll be very entertaining when I do my diary of dreams. Because you get to see, like how like I said, the process and everything, how things unfold. Very interesting. But dreams are just one branch in the large tree of my spiritual path. I do joke around like a lot, to keep things, light, but not light, but like, to make it entertaining. But I take my spirituality very seriously. And at first I was going to express exactly, and you will hear the story, but I want to take my time with it, because like I go through, like I just want to get it all out, and like sometimes, like, that's not good. You take section by section, that way you can focus and expand on the explanations a little bit more. So little bit by little, you will see me unfold. But yes, creativity has been a part of my life for a long time. And it has helped me through a lot of different things. And I'm going to share my creative process, some of the things that goes on, how I come about my ideas, how I execute my ideas, things that come to mind, and also what has inspired me to come out of my hiding and be more expressive. Let my creativity shine. Shine, 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 let it shine. This little black light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little black light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little black flame of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Like all kinds of stuff. The creative mind. Let it flow. I do all kinds of cartoon stuff. I do realistic drawing. It depends on how I feel. For those of you who are artists, I would like to know Do you notice the difference between drawing something you want to draw versus drawing something you have to draw for a job or commission art? And like, what's the things? Like, sometimes I notice that when it's something I like or that I'm really into, it turns out, of course, much better looking than something that I'm just drawing and I'm not interested in. But yeah, like just stuff. Like I said, I draw my cartoon stuff, my fantasy stuff. Right now on my channel, I've been doing a lot of the different characters and stuff that my daughters are into. Their little shows like Murder Drones, Poppy Playtime things like Yarnaby. I believe Yarnaby was my first piece of artwork that I put up there. I have what I'm going to, I don't know if I posted to TikTok. I call them lunch notes, which was just notes that I would leave in my daughter's lunch boxes of their favorite characters with a little like saying across the top or whatever, or a little affirmation that I would send with them for lunchtime. And it's funny because I started that as like just a thing, just for me and my daughters, and it turned into this big thing where now like the teachers and stuff were looking forward to every day of what lunch note I was putting in my daughter's lunch boxes. And my youngest daughter's teacher invited me up to do a draw along with the class, which I so enjoyed. And that's kind of like what helped initiate me posting a channel, because the biggest question was, do you have a YouTube channel? And I'm like, no, I don't have it yet. I'm working on it. And I've been with YouTube from 2011, but I've always been a spectator. I've never posted any videos or anything. I had plans to, but never gotten around to doing it. So now I'm trying to take like I said, trying to be more active towards things and not living in the background. I'm tired of just floating in the background, even though sometimes I enjoy hiding in the shadows. But I would like to share my work and like connect with other artists and other creatives. I get excited when I see other creators and their artwork and stuff that they've created, and I'm like, man, I was like, when? And I'm asking myself, when are you going to do something? When are you going to put your stuff out there? You should have been out there from 2011. 2011. Imagine if I would have started back then with sharing my experiences and my creativity. Where could I be right now? I wouldn't be in this silly situation I'm having right now. And I say silly situation, but I look at everything, every challenge is a learning opportunity. That's how I view it. It's for me to learn, to learn, to learn, to learn. And sometimes it is a hard lesson. But it's within those hard lessons that make us into the grand characters that we become. So, here we go. This is the beginning of my journey. And in the beginning, it's going to be a little bit chaotic. But it'll come together. The organization will come in. Oh. But yeah. This is just the beginning. It's Cringe Beginner. It is, what do they call it? Amateur hour. Because I'm an amateur at this social media thing with the videos and everything. But it's a personal therapeutic project of mine. And I'm going to see how far I want to take it. How far I'm going to push it. I know it's slow in the beginning. And like I said, with making the time to edit, to add music, to take away music. I know I had posted 2 shorts and I think they were blocked because I didn't have the it was something about the copyright because of the music that I chose. So I have to go back and remove the song that I had and replace it with something else. But I thought they said they would still let it play just in silence or something. But like I said, I'm new to this, so I'm learning as I go along, and I'm excited about it, and I want to make time for it because, like I said, this is something that I'm doing for myself as well as my daughters. So when they're older, they can look back and see, my process, how I thought about things. Because you know how, something happened to you. Everybody want to have their own story and version of who you were and who your character was, and it could still happen regardless of whether you journal, because everybody sees what they want to see. But I figure at least I'll have some videos out there for them to reference back to, as far as my creative process, as far as my spirituality, where my heart was, things I was accomplishing and putting into motion, so that way they can look back and be like, oh, my mother was into this. There'll be more to come. I wanted to do a video. I'm probably going to do a video of some of my older stuff, because the only problem is, like, a lot of my stuff got sold. A lot of my stuff, like, some of it got destroyed. Yes, I know. And then some of it I still have I only have pictures. There's a couple of the ones that I sold that I have pictures, especially my wolf drawings. But those I probably won't be able to post because they are of content that is for older audience, a more mature audience, mature. And I'll probably get kicked out the group if I show them. I'll probably post them too. I think like right now I'm on Substack as a spectator, not a publisher yet. But I think Substack is a little bit more free with their rules and stuff, so you can post stuff and not get like a demerit. I went to private school, so we always get demerit. You get a merit if you're good and a demerit if you're bad. Needless to say, I got a lot of demerits. That's a story for another time. My time in private school, private school, and the insanity of that. Oh my God. I remember telling my mom, I'm like, why are you wasting your money? Send me to public school. But she thought that, I'd have better education at a private school. So I had to suffer through that until, what was it? I think it was 7th or 8th grade when I went to public school. I started out at public school, then went to private school, and then go back to public school until, like, I think it was, I want to say 7th grade. I started going to public school. But like I said, that's a story for another time. And how my artwork got me through those years of demerit. Getting called into the principal's office, getting expelled. I think I got expelled twice. And my mom had to talk them into letting me back in. I always had great, like, my grades, great. My behavior, not so great. But yeah, I got stories for days. And then not to mention my over 20 plus years of retail, dealing with the public, dealing with people, 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 beep, people, beep, people, 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 people. But yeah, I want to make this into something that, I can put my heart into it, make it my baby. I remember some manager telling me, you gotta find something to make it your baby. I'm like, all right, ain't nothing at this job, my baby. I don't want nothing to do with it. It was my retail job. But there'll be all kinds of things to come. Like I said, I want to make time for stuff like this. And I'm going to ink this. I'm probably going to leave it black and white, maybe add a little bit of color. I am not finished with this, of course. And I'm not sure if I want to do like a goat eye or like do a dragon eye. I'm not quite sure yet what I want to do with the eyeballs. Not quite sure. I think the sideways, I know some reptiles will have it sideways, but I think the goats are sideways too. Look at me forgetting what an eyeball looks like. But yeah, I've got like stuff for like days, like in my little drawing and stuff. Show you a little bit of mine. This one was when I was working on. It was a vision that I had of a woman sitting down with her back, and she's like looking over her shoulder, and along like where the chakras would be, or eyeballs, but they had keys coming out of them. Keys, eyes, and doorways are symbols that I have chosen like to mean certain things. Like when I see those symbols, I know what it means, like, you know, for my spiritual practice. And, you know, everybody has their own thing. And I just figured I'd share a little bit of mine. I have this one too. Like I said, the eyeballs. I can't show all of that one because that one has some adult themed stuff. But you get the gist of it. It's like it's me laying in the bed and having like the vision. So I'll probably like, I have to try to keep in mind about the whole thing on the nude. But like I said, I'll probably post a lot of my stuff to X and Substacks. It's just so much with the social media. Like I never was one to go at it like that, even though I should have been, at least with my artwork, you know, to get my work out there and connect with other artists. But now I'm taking the leap, diving in, and seeing where it goes. It is quite the experience. Like I have so much, you know. I do want to organize it, but like I said, every time I try to do it one way, it's like my spirit guide's like, nope. They keep me on my toes with stuff. Oh, but I'm enjoying the process. So this is what I have so far for this video. And until next time, try to stay in the dark.